Hi, good evening.
Hello, good evening. Hope all is well.
Yes, thank you. It's beautiful weather, so I'm very happy.
Yes, much, very much needed.
And it is good for the mental health. So
Yes, 100%. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Kyrie.
How are you today?
I'm doing well, can't complain. Weather is nice. I woke up this morning, so, no. How
Yeah,
about you?
God is good. Same, just blessed and I'm happy to be here. And hopefully we can get some work done and continue with the day.
Yes, so I'm gonna be administrating. Mia's not here today, so it's me. If you have any questions or anything, you can ask me.
Okay, thank you. So we're just waiting for Primo and the others now, right?
Yes,
Okay, I'll go back on mute.
all right. Primo is just entering now.
Good evening, Khalid.
Hey, Primo, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
Good. You got me tonight, so
Yeah, no, Mia gave me a heads up. That's cool. Do you think you
okay.
might be able to take some chicken scratch minutes?
Yeah, no problem.
All right, awesome. Appreciate it.
Just let me know when you want me to start recording. It's live, but I don't have the recording on right now.
Okay, sounds good. I mean, oh, it's live, but it's not recording. I think we'll start to record in 2 minutes once we reach a more critical mass.
Okay, just let me know.
So, okay, cool. Nitsan, welcome. Good to see you. Venus, hello.
Good to see you too.
Yeah, thanks for coming. We'll see if we have anybody from Gaia. They've been invited. Kyrie, good evening. Victor, good evening.
Hey, Primo, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, thanks. No complaining.
Right on.
Hi, Primo.
Hey, Victor. Good to see you.
Likewise.
Oh, I like those glasses.
Yeah, the clear frames. It's
Yeah, they were
working.
nice.
Warby Parkers.
That's the
I was gonna
seams of
guess that too, honestly.
I gotta go there and check out some sunglasses. It feels like season is upon us. Cheetah,
Beautiful day today.
yeah, beautiful. Totally.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
No.
Hello, Z. You're muted, but all right. You're on mute.
My apologies. I'm in a different time zone, so and Passover holidays, so kind of
Thank you for joining us in the middle of the holiday. And are you the what's your name?
I'm Zalman Skoblo. I'm from Gruit.
Okay, got it. Understood.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
Sure, my pleasure.
Awesome. So I'm the co-host. Seeing as we have 4 members of our committee, I feel like it's reasonable to begin tonight. Khalid, I'm not sure if we're at a critical mass for what's it called, having a quorum or whatever. Can you to have the full list? We're close. We're either like one off or we're all the way there.
Yeah, I'm just double checking right now, but I think just one more person needs to join.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Good?
Yes.
All right, good to know. All right, in that case, let's just dive right in. And so just to walk folks through the agenda, I'm kind of glad that we have a smaller crew today because I think we're going to need to do a bit of work. And here's Felice, just to add one more. We're going to need to do a bit of work today on some of the cannabis license stipulations. It has cleared the courts, and cannabis licensing is now open season in Kings County. So applications are coming down the pike soon, and we need to be ready to accept them. So I'll walk you through some of the light prep that I've done for this meeting, and we can, I think, go further from there. But just to walk us through what we are going to be doing today, we're going to start off with Groot, who is the applicant for our liquor license renewal, I believe. We're going to move into some community safety concerns from Guy and Omaya. I'll give you a little bit more background on those community safety concerns. We've received a number of complaints, and we'll talk through what some of those look like. Then, as I mentioned at the open, we're going to take kind of the rest of our time to talk through the development of a CB9 cannabis license application. So those are the three major pieces that we're looking to get into today. And if anybody else has anything that they feel like is important, we can certainly discuss that before we adjourn. But let's dive right in and get started with Groot. And just to, I feel like we got 9 people, so we'll just do a quick round of introductions. Prima Lasana, I'm the chair of the Public Safety Committee for Brooklyn CB9. Khalid, I'll pass it to you next.
Good evening, everyone. Hope all is well. My name is Khalid Jamaat, community associate here at CB9. You're used to seeing Mia, but I'm another person in the office staff. It's a pleasure to meet you all and look forward to a great meeting.
Great, thanks. Nitsan, I'll pass it to you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nitsan Gabay. I am one of the tenants on 510 Flatbush Avenue, here to discuss the safety issues with Guy and Omaya, and just wanting to wish everyone a Ramadan Kareem, happy Passover, happy Easter on coming Sunday, happy holiday number 2.
Excellent, thank you, Nitsan. Kyrie, you're my next square.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, I'm Kyrie Aline. I have the pleasure to serve on the Public Safety Committee and also as member at large for CB9 here in Brooklyn, where I'm born and raised. Thank you.
Right, executive member. All right, cool. I'll
Thank
pass
you.
it over to. Sorry, I'm trying to be like you, Kyrie.
Well, can y'all say out of my nephew real quick? Because he's here. I trying to say hi.
Wow.
That's why I'm like a little.
That's a highlight of my day.
Oh, is he everything? Okay.
Oh my God,
Bye.
truly, those curls killing me. All right, Victor, I'll pass it to you.
Hi, good evening. Victor Sanchez Ruedas. I'm a new resident member to the Public Safety Committee. Yeah, happy to be here.
Awesome, thanks. Rashida, pass it to you.
Hi, good everyone. My name is Rashida Sadiq. I am been on the community board for going on 6 years and was a past chair of the Public Safety Committee and lifelong, lived in the.
Rashida froze, I think, but Rashida's here to keep me honest. As the previous chair, you froze for a second, Rashida, but we got most of it. I'll pass it over to our friends from Groot in a different time zone. Still muted, but
Yep. I'm a little bit, a little bit old and technically not so savvy. So I'm actually in Los Cabos, Mexico. My kids aren't here to show off, but that's where I'm sitting. So,
wow.
And I'm here for Passover. So I want to wish everybody a happy holiday, whichever way we celebrate. Just enjoy. So I'm here from Groot. My name is Alman. I lived in Crown Heights for 45 years. I opened a bar restaurant on Rogers Avenue, Rogers and Empire. So love to say hello. And answer any of your questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Zalman, and enjoy the sun for all of us. Sitting
you.
here in our New York misery. It's not miserable. It's just not as good. Okay, I'll pass it over to Venus next.
Hey everyone, I'm Venus. I'm Brooklyn Outreach Coordinator for the New York City Civilian Complaint Review Board. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me. Happy holidays and enjoy this nice weather while it lasts.
Awesome. Welcome, Venus. I'll pass it along to Angeline.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm a tenant at 510 Flatbush Avenue. Hi.
Welcome, Angeline. Thanks for being with us today. And Felice, bring us home. Felice is always on the move, so she might be not able to come off mute at the moment. But Felice, welcome and always glad to have you here.
Sorry, I'm out.
I was
so
just,
speak for me.
I got you. That's Felice Robinson. She's here at Community Board. She's currently at another meeting too, and she sent a message, but she's here.
Awesome. Great. Felice, thanks for being with us on double duty. Okay. So our first item of business is going to be Zalman's application at Groot. I'm just going to talk everybody on the call through it, although all the community board members or committee members should have this in their inbox. This is located at 252 Empire Boulevard, which I believe is at the southeast corner of Empire and Bedford. I could be wrong about that, but Zalman, you tell me. This is a renewal application. So they already have a license. They have a full food menu, so it's a kind of a proper restaurant / beer garden, if you will. Oh, sorry, it's at Rogers and Nostrand. So I got the corners wrong, but their hours of operation are 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Thursday, closed on Friday, Saturday, and then open on Sunday from 5 p.m. to 11 a.m. It's modern American Jewish cuisine. And those are basically the most important things. There's a menu that's kind of attached to the application. Zalman, maybe you can remind me, is this a full license?
Yes, it's a full license. It's a full license. We've had it, we're open now for a little over 2 years. Was it 4 years now? Time flies. So yeah, we're open for 4 years. We started out as a beer garden. We switched over more into restaurant as COVID came around. I did all the deliveries myself during COVID, and we're now coming out at the other side, and we're trying. Our license is coming up for renewal, so we're here to answer any of your questions. Yeah, we're open from Sunday through Thursday from 5. We're trying to open a little earlier, so now it's 5 o'clock. We're usually around 5:30 till approximately 10:30. Some people ask we'll stay open till 11, but usually 10:30. We don't do a lot of alcohol, actually, unfortunately. We're mostly restaurant at this point, but we do have, we built it with a full bar inside. So, we offer that as an amenity to the restaurant.
And you do have an outdoor space, correct?
Yes, we have an outdoor garden, which we closed this winter. Very hard to keep. It's very hard to keep it warm. But yes, it'll hopefully be open. After we'll be closed for Passover in a couple of days. We'll be closed for a couple of weeks, and hopefully on the other side of it, we'll be able to come out with it. Yeah, with our garden as well.
Okay, solid. I'll open it up to committee members who might have any questions. Feel free to ask what you would like to of Zalman. I know y'all got questions.
Hi, good afternoon. Actually, not so much of a question because I do remember when you guys came and got it. I was actually the chair at the time, so
Yes.
It's good to see you still around and
Thank
doing,
you.
It's
good to see you
there
too.
hasn't been any complaints or anything like that.
Thank God,
So,
two.
okay, so good. And yeah, hopefully, yeah, just wanted to say, like, I remember when their application was before us. And I don't think there's been any like issues with it that came before us, after that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's something that we're very careful not to overserve, overserve alcohol, even if somebody's asking for it. We don't run for that last dollar. If we feel somebody had one too many, we'll be like, it's time to go. We'll call them a cab and send them home. So, but again, we don't really have that very often, as like I said, we are mostly restaurant at this point. But thank God we have no complaints.
Great. Victor, I see you seem ready.
Yes. So my question for Mr. Scoblo is, sorry, you listed Mr. Dubinsky as is he a co-owner in the operation?
He's no longer a co-owner. He was actually the original my original partner there. When we went restaurant based, he kind of went his own. It wasn't for him, as he's more bar owner. I'm sure you've seen some of his other applications. Franklin Bar. He owns some other bars around, I think, that are fall under CB9 as well. But Mr. Dubinsky is no longer a owner in the restaurant.
Okay, I see. So is it you now as the principal owner? Or
It's just me. Yeah, just me.
I was just wondering, I mean, his name made it onto the application, so just for
Yeah, his name's
clarification.
still on the application. It's just we're trying to get things off. We're slowly, it's a couple of, in the beginning, I left him on as, I still wanted him to own something as he built it with me. But at some point, like a couple months back, he's like, we're not really very profitable. So he's like, just take it and let's call it a day. So we've been slowly removing his name from a lot of things, but it still creeps up on some stuff.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks for clarifying.
And would this be an application where you'd be comfortable removing his name if we? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay,
No,
so that
but
makes
yeah,
it a
I
version
think
that we asked for. Cool. So we'll take note of that, Khalid. Maybe you can just make a note to ask to remove that name, and I think that should do it. Kyrie, I'm surprised you got no questions. Probably busy with his nephew. I got you.
he's a cute kid.
Cute kid. I would be too. Okay, for me, I don't have any huge questions. It seems like you got 22 tables, you got 52 seats, you have a max occupancy of 74, although I doubt that you're hitting max occupancy very often. In terms of music, you're only using kind of recorded electronic music, not electronic music, but you understand what I'm saying, not live music. Only house. Yeah, that's it, I think, for me. I'll hold just for another 10 seconds to see if anybody else has any questions. All right. So I'll say, just kind of from a process perspective, we are going to, Rashida, remind me, should we vote now or should we vote at the end of the session? We can vote now, right?
Yeah, I think we can vote now because we're going
Okay.
into like non-voting matters afterwards.
Yeah, sounds good. So we'll hold a vote right now. That vote would be to move this into the general board meeting, which will happen later in this month, at which point it would be kind of officially voted upon by the larger community board. But generally, if the Public Safety Committee makes a recommendation, it is the recommendation that's followed by the larger community board. However, I would just strongly encourage you to also come to the larger community board meeting, which you will receive an invite to after this meeting, because the community definitely likes to hear from owners. So Rashida, do you want to set it off?
Yes, so I make a motion to for the approval of the renewal of Gruit's application.
I second that motion. or so moved, or whatever it is that we may say. So at this point, we'll just do a quick round of votes. So Victor,
I join in that application.
that's a yay vote.
Yes,
Okay,
yay,
cool.
to be clear.
Awesome, sure. Kyrie? Kyrie's busy.
Kyrie
Elise?
votes in favor too. Sorry,
Okay, awesome.
I was
Great.
trying to come off of mute.
Thanks, Kyrie. I got it. And then Felice. I couldn't hear that, Felice. Was it a yay? You can also put it in the, oh, there is no chat. Abstain. Okay, that's fair. Rashida, do we need to vote again since we passed the motion?
No, but the record, yes.
Okay. Cool. For the record, yes for me as well. So seeing that we have a majority of yay votes, we'll move this along to the general community board, and we'll be, passing that recommendation along to approve it. Thanks so much for being with us tonight, Zalman. Go enjoy.
Thank you.
Sun.
Thank you all for your time. Thank you all for your service. It doesn't go unnoticed. It doesn't go unappreciated. Sometimes people don't say the words. Sometimes people don't know how to say the words, but we do very much appreciate your time and service. Thank you very much.
Very kind of you to say. Appreciate that. All right.
All right. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of the meeting.
You too. Thank you. Well, not the meeting, but. All right, cool. So up next on our agenda is community safety concerns with Gaia Nomaya. Just to set the stage a little bit and to let folks on the committee know, complaints have been received by our CB9 office. I would say in particular, we've received 3 complaints over the course of the last year, including one that has been forwarded to us by the State Assembly Brian Cunningham's office. The complaints essentially, if I were to distill them, and I think Nitsan and Angeline will speak to them a little bit more clearly, experientially. Gaia Nomaya is a wellness/club, something I believe that was kind of branded more of as a wellness spot, but also was granted 2 years ago a full liquor and beer license that runs until 4 a.m. There have been the complaints that we've received have been about extreme noise. It seems like they are running by the descriptions provided to us, they're running a club that goes sometimes past 4 a.m. And the noise can be incredibly disruptive. To the members of 510 Flatbush Avenue, at a minimum, we've also received complaints from at least one other neighbor in an adjoining building. Part of the application process for Gaia Nomaya was that they were going to soundproof their space and do it within a legal limit of decibels. But I will turn it over to Nitsan and to Angeline, whoever would like to speak first. Just also so that folks on the committee know, we've also reached out to Gaia Nomaya, to the owner, and offered them the opportunity to speak here. They did say that they would be here. They are not here. But I will turn it over to Nitsan and Angeline. I don't know who would like to go first.
Angelina, just with your working schedule, you said you needed to be out earlier. Would you like to take the first speaking position?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So I moved in here about 3 years ago, and at the time when I moved in, I was under the impression it was going to be a wellness place for like food, like healthy food, and things of that nature. I would say it's been about 4 years I've been here. So about 2 years ago, one night they had a party that went almost till 6 a.m. And there's this driving bass they tend to use when they're playing their music. And it was horrible because I was recovering from an illness. And I went to go speak to Andrew about it. And at that time, he said they were still soundproofing, which I thought was weird. I figured if this is what you were going to do, one, tell tenants, and two, make sure all that's done like in the process of construction. And then it's just been an ongoing issue ever since, where 2 or more times every month they're having these parties with this bass. That's the thing that comes through the most, is the bass, until 4 a.m. I was under the impression quiet hours are between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. So how they're able to do this is beyond me. There's dancing that goes on, because it's on some of their flyers that's what's going to be happening. There's people out in the street at all hours. This is supposed to be a non-smoking building, and people are not supposed to be smoking or whatever within a certain number of feet from here, but they do anyway. I don't have proof of this, but I've heard of illicit substances being there. Somebody ODing in one of the bathrooms one night. Somebody in our building who's not qualified working security works security one night. There's a door that connects our building to their space. I don't know how well that's guarded. I've had text messages with Andrew back and forth, one in which where, you know, there was a kind of, if you scratch my back, I'll scratch your situation. In full disclosure, I said to him, this was maybe a year ago, since I've been dealing with a noise issue, been promising to fix it, didn't fix it. Can I have a month of free rent for all the suffering I've been going through in my sleepless nights? He said, sure, as long as you don't make complaints to 311 to try to hurt our business. And I was like, no, thank you. And so it's always been this, everything is about my business. Even recently, a couple of weeks ago, I went downstairs, me and a neighbor, I was trying to explain to him, again, come to my apartment. I've offered many times, turn it up as loud as you want. Do your sound testing, call environmental agencies, do whatever you need to do to make sure when you are doing whatever you're doing, that we, the tenants, are not disturbed. He's never offered to do any soundproofing in my apartment. Soundproofing in the sense of coming up to see like what the sound is like when they're having their parties. And every time there's a conversation with him, it's always about his business not being hurt and telling us to be patient, to wait, because they're still having parties to get enough money in order to do soundproofing. So there's been no movement on their part to honor their side of anything. And one week it was really bad, where I was very sleep deprived and I was having chest pains and I was sick the whole week because of this thing that's been going on for more than a year. So why don't we just move? Well, why should we have to? I don't see why we have to leave when I came in here, I had no idea that was going on, you know? And so it should have just been an ongoing issue of trying to deal with this in a neighborly way, but there's no reciprocity on their end and being genuine about fixing the noise issue. I live on the second floor, right above the space. So when they have their parties, it is sometimes keeping me awake for hours. And if I fall asleep, then they turn the bass up and then the cops get called and then they turn it down and then it goes back up. And it's this game the whole evening. So I'll stop there because I don't want to take up too much time, but there's more that could be said. Thank you.
That's really helpful, Angeline, and appreciate you being here tonight and sharing your experience. It sounds not fun, painful. And so Julie, welcome. Julie, are you also from 510 or are you from somewhere else?
No, I'm not from 510.
Okay, cool. I'll pass it over to Nitsan.
Okay, thank you so much, Primo. I do know that we may have one more tenant that said that they will try and join at 7:30. Dustin, which some of you may also know from previous Public Safety Committee meetings. But for now, nice to meet you all again. My name is Nitsan Gabai. So I'm also a tenant at 510 Flatbush. Granted, far less residency than Angie. I've been in the building since May of last year of 2022. I live there on one of the apartments on the third floor that faces Flatbush Avenue with my wife and cat. So that's our household. And essentially, there's a couple of important disclaimers I have to make and some clarifications I want to make. So first of all, while I did take the most recent initiative to write an open appeal to a local elected official about Guy Anamaya, I was the one who wrote the letter to Assemblymember Cunningham. I'm not the person that's leading the tenants association that we recently formed in the building for Lincoln and Flatbush. We don't currently have any leadership structure in place. We're still very egalitarian, and all the issues that I'm raising here are issues that have plagued me, my family, and others, as you heard from Angie, and I'm sure potentially others that may join in and trickle in as the meeting goes on. Now, at this point, I was expecting someone from Guy Anamaya to be present, and potentially they may join later. So contrary to what you may hear from them at some point in the future, and Angie kind of touched on it a bit, my end goal here is not to have the business shut down altogether. I have some strong critique. I have some suspicions about how this business came to be. There is a multitude of conflicting interests between the business owners, which are two brothers, and this is the wellness center and yoga space. And then there's also the nightlife promotion brand, Sonic Jungle, that one of the brothers owns. And so essentially what I believe happens is that the nightlife events and the parties that have the bass thumping are actually promoted events from Sonic Jungle, which Guy Anamaya hosts for rent free, because again, it's the same people running both the promotion and the space. And then there's also the fact that the building's ownership and management is deeply involved with their father, Alexander Golden. So again, this is not what I'm trying to deal with here. I'm not trying to rectify a principle wrong about how this business came to be. And I'm sure that it has some good sides to it that, the representatives of Guy Anamaya should speak to. I've seen some members of the community, people of color that have used the space for their personal events during normal traditional business hours that are not, past quiet hours in the city. And it was very nice and heartwarming to see. But what I am here to do today is really to try and let you all know that the nightlife activity really needs to be curbed drastically, especially after 10 p.m. And those events, as you've heard from Angie, have a really immediate recurring negative effect on all of our safety and well-being within the building. So I'm just going to start with when I got involved last summer, around May, when I moved in, and already heard from a few tenants. Again, like Angie said, nobody told me during the lottery process. When I moved in, the marketers never said anything about the business being a nightclub, just that it's a yoga space and a wellness center. And I think the Department of Buildings also coded that space as a medical facility for medical services. So when I started attending a few public safety committee meetings, and I think this was with a few of you members present today, about amending their liquor license, which they already had in place, to accommodate for patron dancing and staff dancing. Back in those meetings, if you recall, Guy Anamaya's line of argument to our noise complaints, which we were putting as a counter for their initiative, was that they are technically not possible because Andrew and his staff took some technical steps with their sound system, something that's baked into their amp system, which does not allow it to go above the legal noise limit. That's the argument as I remembered it. And there were even claims from him and from others in the staff that they had readings that were constantly going within their own apartment, because they're also residents in the building, mind you. And they are on the second floor directly above the event space, so towards the back, not facing Flatbush as I am. But they claim that, within their own space, within their own living quarters, they have done sound readings which have produced whisper level noises. Again, nothing has ever been shared publicly with other tenants. I don't know if they shared everything and with you guys, but that's what I remember from those public safety committee meetings last summer. Now, since those summer meetings, as Angie alluded, the arguments around the sound limitations in their system kind of shifted. They stopped making those arguments to us when we would complain to them, and it started to become this sort of partial acknowledgement that there is insufficient soundproofing. And when I say soundproofing, I mean insulation within the space. Some people within their staff acknowledged to us that there is bass shaking the piping within their event space. And mind you, when you see the photos of their space, you'll see that some of the piping inside there is exposed. There's no kind of ceiling panels. It's all exposed, so it gets the vibration pretty easily. And so that is probably one of the things that is causing the vibrations to travel up as far as the 9th floor to some tenants. And so they were saying that, you know, their soundproofing is lagging and they can't do all the work, maybe also because of what Angie said about costs with more events that need to round it up, but also that there are schedules lagging and that they place their orders and the contractors are putting them on a schedule and they're just kind of waiting in a backlog. So anyways, the conversation, their counter arguments just started shifting from this technical feature in their sound system to a whole structural financial situation. And there's a moving target here and moving goalposts. And then they wanted to constantly focus the conversation with us when we would come down to the business and we would talk to, you know, the owners privately within the building, that the sound issue was getting better. They just wanted to focus on the positive. But mind you, any minor improvement that they may or may not have made has still kept us awake well after midnight. And as Angie said, you know, last weekend or 2 weekends ago, second to last weekend of March, they had an event on Saturday. I stayed up throughout the entire thing and I kept a very close watch on when the sound stopped, and it stopped around 4:40, 4:45. So about 45 minutes past their official liquor license stipulates. Now, all these discussions about the sound distribution is one thing. I want to put those aside real quick, and I want to draw your attention to a whole other issue that affects my family specifically, but also others that have their apartment facing Flatbush Avenue. And it is basically to do with the crowds that come to these parties and raves. So before the parties even kick into high sound and into bass that we can feel in our flooring, the business has a huge traffic control issue on its hands with these people that come and line up for the doors. Incoming traffic for those parties. I'm sorry for the sound here from the siren. I'm just going to wait a moment for it to pass.
It's not even registering for us, so.
Oh, great. Okay, sorry. So anyways, before the parties even kick into high sound, the business has a traffic issue with people that are coming in because all incoming traffic for the parties is handled through a separate service entrance. They have a small, narrow door adjacent to their main entrance to the restaurant and cafe. And for their night events, they use that corridor, which is also signed with like their Wellness Womb business. And that door is adjacent on the other side of it to our residential entrance and lobby. Now, Guyana Maya employs bouncers to control the traffic on the street and to their entrance, but the actual enforcement of like safety and how the traffic flows on the block is very spotty. It varies between one bouncer to another. And I've heard from our own security staff in the building, because we have, you know, the building is both facing on Flatbush and on Lincoln, and we have our safety desk on the Lincoln side, and they have to do rounds every hour or so. And so when they do their rounds over to our entrance on Flatbush, they have told me that they are more than one instance where they have seen patrons that are astray from the events that Guyana Maya holds, that either hang around directly in front of our entrance or inside the doors, inside the lobby even sometimes. I don't know how they get past the buzzer and security, but they just find themselves inside the building entrance for residents. And it's naturally a huge safety hazard, and we don't know who these people are, and they're not associated with the building whatsoever. And in addition to that,
Needs on, just give you like a 2-minute warning.
Fair enough. I appreciate that. And so in addition to that, there's also parking issues that have been existing because our building also has a parking entrance that you might be all familiar with. And so there are nights when patrons come with double park doors, double park cars and rideshare vehicles that kind of idle and stick around. And they have been blocking the parking entrance, and security in our building tries to contact the business so they have announcements to make those cars move, to no avail, very not adamant to help out with these situations. So all of that. And on top of that, the alcohol, which the license provides them, which is given to patrons throughout the night, all the way to 4 a.m. It is a recipe for chaos, for delinquent behavior that just happens when people get drunk. People start getting louder because they have less of a sense of their surroundings and their noise. And they have the urge to smoke. And unfortunately, they smoke right outside of the doors of the business when they step out. And it's just not up to code with our building's smoke-free safety policy that we're not supposed to have any smoking happen within 15 feet of the building. And a lot of us here on the Flatbush Avenue facing side catch that smoke when it comes up to our window. And needless to say, it could cause some health concerns and health complications. And we have had a tenant who went to the hospital a few weeks ago with a new discovered asthma complication. So there are effects to these things. And really, another thing that maybe you want to bring to your attention, and I was hoping maybe Guy and Amaya representatives can clarify tonight, was that fire department came with 2 inspectors to explore the business space during their event, and both owners were there to accommodate them and walk them through. I'm not sure what happened that night. I don't know if their findings of that report are already out. I was hoping that someone from the business can discuss that a bit further, but if they're not here to talk, I hope that you look that up. And yeah, that's all I have for you. Thank you for listening and for dealing with us for as long as you have, because I'm sure nobody wants to keep hearing about this issue over and over.
It's all good. We appreciate you being here, and like that's exactly what this group exists for, is to, and so we appreciate members of the community coming to speak with us. So briefly, maybe can we see Angeline and then Dustin? And then we'll move on to the next item. Cool.
I'm sorry, really quickly. I just wanted to mention that there's a few of us here, but the issue affects more people than are present. And part of that could be for fear of retaliation. And I understand that. I don't want to say more because I don't want to speak on other people's behalf, but don't let the few people that are here make it seem like it's a small issue that only affects like the 3 people here. It affects more people. But at this point, I mean, I'm not really afraid of retaliation because I didn't do anything wrong. We're not doing anything wrong. We just want to try to resolve the issue. And when I say that I have tried to resolve this in a neighborly way, I really have. Because the last thing I wanted to do was call 311. I don't want to negatively affect anyone's business. I just want to be respected. And it just seems like they can't seem to understand how to reciprocate that. So I just wanted to add that piece. Thank you.
Good thing. That's understood. Dustin.
Hey there. You guys can hear me okay?
Mhm.
I'm really sorry that I'm late. I just want to thank you guys for giving me some space to talk. I had to work late tonight. I work in news and I had a live shot at 7 o'clock. So I will be brief because it sounds like Angie and Nitsan sort of really painted a picture for you guys that you already know. I think my feelings about this are very well documented. I just wanted to say just a couple things. This has been going on for a year and a half. It's been going on for a year and a half. We, as a building, the tenants, myself, I'm just going to listen. I've had contentious conversations with Andrew Golden. I've had heart-to-hearts with him. I've sat down and talked with him, and we just can't seem to come to an agreement on the fact that this noise, I believe, is illegal. I believe it is illegal. I believe the noise, if I can hear this and feel this on the 8th floor, and they're on the 1st floor, that's a problem. It's a real problem. And I can only imagine what it's like for my neighbors that are on the 2nd floor and on the 3rd floor. I'm not unique in that I have a family, but I have 2 small children, and I've lost count of the number of times that this music has woken myself, my wife, and my kids up. You know, we have a rather unique housing situation in that I'm in a rent stabilized lottery unit. And so I know that there are some certain protections there for me as a tenant. But I think I wouldn't shy away from saying that I think the expectation is, because we have these units, we should just be expected to kind of put up with this stuff. And that's not cool. We've seen tenants that don't have the kind of situation like my family has, inexplicably have their lease not renewed. So it's illegal. It's illegal what they're doing. By the letter of the law, they don't have the proper liquor license to be hosting these parties. Playing music, yes. Playing music, and I know it sounds a little footloose, right? But like playing music and dancing, no, they don't. And that's where their crowd is. No one wants to see that business fail. No one wants to see it shut down. I think that this has been a blunder from the very beginning, from the way that things were communicated to people when they moved into the building, to the expectation of what this actually was, to the very first event that he actually threw back in August of 2021. Before they even had a certificate of occupancy, they threw a party in there. And that was the first time I met Andrew Golden. I've gone down to the sidewalk and tried to reason with this guy. I've gone down to the sidewalk when my frustration has boiled over and tried to talk to this guy. We're at our wits' end. What they are doing is 100% illegal by the letter of the law, and they shouldn't be allowed to continue to do it. Don't shut their business down, but don't allow them to continue to do these things. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Dustin. Thank you, Angeline, and thank you, Nitsan, as well, for providing us with your experience, with your testimony. I will also add that you're not the only 3 folks who've come to one of our meetings. We had another person from 510 come to our last meeting. I suspect that we'll have more folks coming in the next few months as well. And just so everyone's clear too, Guyana Maya will be up for reevaluation. Essentially, their license will expire in July of this year, which means that they'll have to submit a reapplication in June of this year. So from a process perspective, you've just kind of experienced what happens when a business has to come before the Public Safety Committee. These are open meetings. You're welcome to come to any of the meetings that you would like to. And so, we will follow the process that we are supposed to follow. And we'll do everything, of course, by the book here, and we'll be incredibly open with you, and, know that none of all of your complaints have been seen, and I've tried my best to respond to those complaints as well. And then on the other side, we also are communicating with Mr. Golden. And just kind of, we're not naming any names, anything like that, right? Just so that y'all are aware. But we're also opening up the space, and he was invited to this meeting and is not here. But will also probably have to appear in order to speak on behalf of his license application, which we should be receiving later in the summer. So, in terms of what's inside our locus of control, as we are designators of liquor licenses, and what we do is we make a recommendation to the State Liquor Authority. We are also in contact with the NYPD and the FDNY, and so I think follow up for us from this meeting can be to touch base with both of those parties. So there is a process for lodging formal complaints with the State Liquor Authority. There's an email address that you can send complaints to, and that is, let me pull it up. It's zone 1 something. It's it's zone1.complaints@sla.ny.gov, and why the chat is live tonight, so I will put that in the chat as well so that everybody here has it. The State Liquor Authority is certainly a part of this process. And then I'm sure you're making complaints as well. 311 NYPD is also something that you can engage with as a part of our process. We do check to see how many complaints have been made to FDNY and to NYPD for a particular location and for a particular business. So just want to make you aware of that as a step in the process as well. our group is certainly going to have a conversation, and obviously this, falls into consideration for us, everything that you're sharing with us here. It's our job, we're the Public Safety Committee, right? And it sounds like there are some issues that residents are experiencing, incidents, maybe too soft of language, but we hear you. Nitsan, so you got a hand up?
Yeah, real quick. Just because you've also shared on the chat the email, I wanted to share for the Public Safety Committee members, just a light read. And I can send it to anyone else who may want to follow up with me later. But this is just something, if in lieu of representatives from Guy and Omaya showing up tonight, this is maybe the closest you will get to what they're trying to promote as far as the business. And this is something from the beginning of March this year, so not that far ago. And I would really just try and draw your attention to the first few paragraphs, how they depict our neighborhood, as nothing but a place for trucks to go through with a gas station and car lots. It's really trying to picture this area as more industrial than residential. It's really mischaracterizing the community that lives around here, that's been forming here. And it's a beautifully diverse one, I have to say. And just also try and follow some of the key words within their own quotes, how much they talk about hedonism, about, how wellness takes kind of a second backseat to what they're really doing with this business. It's I wouldn't say egregious, but it's something in that ballpark.
Dustin, do you want to bring us home? You're on mute, Dustin.
I said I will bring you home. I just wanted to say two things. Thank you for hearing us and for giving us the space to continue to bring this to you guys. This has been an education for me in the way that kind of gathering people and sort of trying to generate movement and momentum. So thank you. I think being heard has certainly reinvigorated the tenants of our building. And secondly, you guys have an open invitation to come to 510 Flatbush anytime one of these events is going on, and come sit on my couch. I'll make you some coffee, tea, hot chocolate, and you can sit in my living room and hear what we have to hear. I think Angie and Nitsan would probably do the same thing for you. And I think that there are a number of other tenants that would consider it an open invitation anytime they're hosting a late night event. We would be happy to have you and show you what it is that we have to deal with.
Amen. Come and knock on our door anytime.
Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it. And really, we are certainly here to listen. That's our function. That's why we signed up for this job, and to take the steps that are outlined for us to take in order to address concerns. And so that's our mandate. That's what we'll be doing. And again, open invitation for y'all to continue to be in this space. So with that, I want to open it up to Venus, who has very patiently waited to tell us about the Civilian Complaint Review Board.
Yes, thank you, Primo, and thank you guys for having me once again. So I'm Venus. I'm the Brooklyn Outreach for the New York City Civilian Complaint Review Board. I'll be very brief because what you guys are experiencing, I want you guys to continue to get back to solving that problem. So we are an agency that investigates, mediates, and prosecutes police misconduct of members of the NYPD. Our jurisdiction is force, abuse of authority, discourtesy, and offensive language. And we also have a bias-based policing and racial profiling unit. And we also investigate sexual misconduct. There's 4 ways to file a complaint. You can always file via our hotline. I can give you guys that information below. You can also come to our office at 100 Church Street, Lower Manhattan, 10th floor, to speak directly to intake if you have any complaints of NYPD officers. You can always file via direct messaging us on social medias. If you see something that's disturbing that alludes to police misconduct, the CCRB has the authority to self-initiate complaints. So you can always direct message us on our social medias. We have we have Instagram, Twitter, And yeah, Facebook. I'm right about that. And lastly, you can file at your local precinct. NYPD precincts are required to accept all CCRB complaints. And if folks don't feel comfortable filing at precincts, they can always request a postage-free envelope and a complaint form, and they can always mail their complaint to us at our address. So very quickly, I have one announcement. We have an upcoming board meeting that's coming up on May 10th at Restoration Plaza at 6:30 p.m. And this is a really great opportunity for the Public Safety Committee of CB9 to present all your comments, questions, and concerns about policing in your community. We know that policing affects communities of color. We know that it affects vulnerable communities where there is an immigrant population. So please bring all of your comments and questions about policing. You can speak to our executive director and our board. They are the ones that review all of the investigations and make those penalties a recommendation. Also, we have our intake unit and our investigators come there. So people who have complaints that want to file complaints, they can file complaints during our board meeting as well. They will also have this civilian assistance unit. We have victim advocates and social service advocates that can help for anyone who's dealing with something traumatic with a police officer, and also connect them to citywide services such as legal assistance, food assistance, medical assistance, mental health assistance, anything that's going to help their process of filing cases. So that's it, May 10th, 6:30 p.m. at Restoration Plaza. I hope to see you all there. I hope no one has an issue with policing, but if you do, this is a really great way. We're completely civilian oversight. I think it's very important to have an entity that's civilian oversight that can oversee what the police department is doing, rather than police investigate their own claims. So with that being said, thank you so much for letting me take the floor. And I sent the flyer to you guys' email. So if you guys can please share and spread the word and also pop out, that'll be amazing. And thank you.
Thanks for being with us, Venus. And thank you for the work that you do. It's incredibly important to the city. Julie, I recognize that you joined the space and just wanted to make sure if you had anything that you wanted to share. You're on mute.
Sorry, I do. Thank you so much. And this is all very interesting, actually. I don't live very far from that spot everybody's complaining about. But I don't know if this is the right forum, but I was wondering if you know if there's been an arrest in the horrible, horrible, brutal attack on the jeweler on Flatbush Avenue. He was an old man. Do you guys know what happened to him?
Do you know about the I know, I can only speak for myself. I do know about the incident. I do not know if there has been an arrest made. Sometimes we have the NYPD come and give a report on crime in the district. We didn't have that on the agenda today just because we have such a packed agenda, but we are likely to have it on our agenda next month.
Okay, yeah, I have joined these meetings in the past and there's been somebody from the NYPD and I thought they might know. Yeah, I just am thinking about him and wanted to, and it seemed like there were some clear photos, and I went to a community meeting and they said, this was months ago, that there was going to be, probably an arrest, but then I'm not sure it's happened. So I just was wondering, and I didn't know if this was the right forum.
This is the right forum. I would say we're the right forum. NYPD is also a place where you might be able to get more information. What I'd encourage you to do, just so that this stays on our radar, is just send an email to the community board office. Khalid, can you put that email address in the chat? And then this can be something that we follow up directly with NYPD on.
Great. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thanks for being here, Julie. Appreciate it. Okay. All right. Nitsan, thank you for being here. Julie, thank you for being here. What we can, I see Rashida, you have a raised hand. Go for it.
Yeah, sorry, I just had a quick question for Venus. Is the May 10th meeting, is that just in person, or are you guys doing a live stream or Zoom or anything?
We are doing a WebEx.
Okay.
So we have a QR code on our flyer that you can also attend. But if you guys can attend in person, that would be amazing. But I know time constraints, so please attend either way. We'll really appreciate it.
Sounds good. We look forward to getting the flyer, and we'll
Thank
share it with
you.
the larger community board as well.
Great, thank you.
Have you spoken to CB8 yet too?
Yes, I did a presentation for CB8 Public Safety Committee. So I'm definitely going to spread the word again as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Anybody is welcome to stay for the next part where we're gonna kind of dig into like this this cannabis licensing, but also like feel free to bounce, move on with your lives, and we'll dig into the next section. But again, welcome to stay if you want to, but appreciate your time and for you being here.
Great. Have a great night, everyone.
Take care. All right. Interesting stuff. It's really good to have residents coming and chatting with us. I'm wondering if anybody here wants to have a conversation about kind of everything that we just digested, or yeah, Rashida.
Okay, so just as you guys know, I've been on the public safety committee for over, I think probably out of my 6 years, probably the 4 years. So I was part of the committee when Guyana came for their original license. And I'm trying to recall how that went, but I definitely recall it being more of a wellness center and not of this latest whatever it's become. Also from last year in September, when we had our first meeting, we had a meeting and they attended, and it was about the complaints and we had the officer from the community, from NYPD, the community liaison. He went and tested, and there was other things like that, and it was ongoing. And then in the springtime, we got the application that they wanted to add dancing to the application. And one of my questions to them was like, you haven't addressed the previous, yet you want to now go to dancing. And I don't know if you guys remember, in the last maybe 2 community board meetings, they were there, and I think we voted, maybe it was a pretty long meeting, so I can't remember if we actually got to the voting part of it in the larger meeting for that, but I definitely don't think it passed, but it was just the history. So it's been since September of multiple members of the community coming before them and them saying they've done it. So knowing that it's still going on is very, very disturbing to me. And as I said, knowing from when I was originally part of the public safety and they came with their application and how they presented it as the type of business they were bringing was more of a wellness center and things like that. So this is, just so I do appreciate the community, the people in the building still staying on top of this and bringing this towards, before the committee. And we will definitely take this serious as they come up for renewal, because these are things that we have. But I know there's definitely records of complaints, probably with 311, probably also with the I forgot his name, that also was handling with the NYPD, was coming to some of our meetings at there as well. So there's definitely a track record and video and meetings and things like that.
Thanks for that, Rashida. I also just want to add just some things that have occurred over the course of the last month. So we received 2 complaints, and the community board office forwards them to me. And it felt like it reached a point where we needed to respond. And so I placed a phone call to everybody who had submitted a complaint, just to talk to them and understand a little bit more about kind of what they were experiencing, and also letting them know a bit more information about our meeting structure, that they could come, that we'd be inviting Guy and Omaya to come and talk and that they could also come and speak. And so we moved all that communication through the community board office. And so I've been communicating with Dante, and Dante has been communicating with the residents. I also spoke to the State Liquor Authority. So I placed a phone call and spoke to the State Liquor Authority and learned a bit more about kind of what one does in a process like this. They're the ones who encouraged me to, one, send along the complaints. So we sent along all of the complaints directly to the State Liquor Authority. We also gave the folks that I spoke with, the folks who submitted complaints to the community board's office, the email address for where they could submit complaints as well as individuals directly to the State Liquor Authority. So just want to let y'all know that that's been some of the background noise, work that's been happening over the course of the last month. Kyrie.
Yes, and thank you, Primo. Everybody who spoke on this, but I in particular remember when Guy and Maya first came to submit this for their renewal of their liquor license about 2 years ago. I think that's also when I first was joining the Public Safety Committee. And I recall literally standing up a lot for the tenants because their application switched up a lot. First, they were supposed to be a wellness center. And I think I had questions on, they were charging for meditation in this area, $150 for the hour, something like this. It's okay. And we went from meditation space that was supposed to be for the community, a health and wellness center, to then they requested to have in dining. And then after the dining and the music there, then there was a jukebox. And I say all of this to say, I also believe that these tenants, their attitude towards everything was a little nonchalant because I believe the father owns the building, or I believe the family is owned. So the fact that if this is this exact one, I personally would like to start a vote to say that we should do all in our power to revoke their liquor license and or to side with the tenants, because this was a back and forth for more than 2 years, not just last September and before that. And I remember the mannerisms again of the owners. It was as if, all right, we own this, our father owns it, we can do this, and I don't think it's right. So thank you. And I would like to start a vote to say how we would write a letter to support the tenants in this case, just to take steps on, I don't know, trying to rectify their situation. So if that means pulling the liquor license, then yes.
Yeah, I would say I'm like right there with you in sentiment. I think what I want to understand is process before, like, you know, like what is the most helpful step for us to take, you know, kind of as a group would just be something I'd like to look into a little bit.
No, of course. It's just that this is over 2 years. And I know that a lot of tenants, we gave these people a lot of chances.
Completely agree. I think we have a very formal opportunity coming up in front of us in 2 months in June, right? When the application is submitted. What we could do is get in contact with the State Liquor Authority and see what a process would look like for suspension. So that's an option. I think maybe once
and or if not suspension, maybe we can give them a real warning that maybe comes with the parameters of a suspension, you know, something, but we just need to show them that we're doing something.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I agree.
You agree, Felice? Yeah. Rashida, where are you feeling? And Victor?
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely think, you know, whatever we can do, because as Kyrie said, it's been ongoing and it doesn't seem like they're taking it seriously. I know we're an advisory to the SLA.
Yeah. And Victor?
Yeah, 1000%. I mean, I didn't know about this wellness center until our last meeting, and nothing that I've heard from folks that are living and have been living with the situation for years now is positive. You know, this is having a real detrimental effect in these people's lives daily. So for something that was never rubber stamped by this committee, you know, the activity that they're engaging in. So I think it's ridiculous, and we need to do whatever it is we need to do on our end to put an end to this.
I think that's right. And I think, you know, like to my point with Kyrie before, like I want to vote on what I know is the right next step, and so like maybe if like you would just like allow me the time to dig in a little bit more before our next meeting, where I come to you with some concrete options around, we can take this step, we can take this step. We could write a letter, we could send an email. I don't think we could vote on, we could say, but I don't even know what the content of the email would be, because I don't even know kind of what our power actually is at this point, like to pursue a suspension, you know what I'm saying? So Kyrie, you look primed to say something.
Oh, yes. No, I was going to just agree with everything you said. And it seems like we're all on one accord and in agreement to say, if we were to vote now, our vote was just to say that we're going to do whatever it is in our power to try and rectify this situation. So yes, if you wait till next meeting, you can come back. If it's something I can help with too, yeah, we can come back to it. But as long as we all know that we want to get them. Right.
Kyrie, let's me and you start a chain about kind of like figuring out what our next options
Okay,
are.
perfect.
Maybe what would be helpful is if you could just write an email to if you could write an email to the board office and CC me, just kind of like saying that we would like to have a conversation with the board office about kind of like what options we can.
Okay, perfect.
We'll take that conversation, and if you could just CC Fred on the email too, that'd be helpful.
Okay.
Thanks, Kyrie. Nitzan?
I just wanted to say thank you so much for the enthusiasm everyone is showing. And I just wanted to supplement what Rashida was kind of alluding to earlier. I was there in that spring meeting. I remember it. It was a very heated and long one. There were some members who also felt like they were being accused of colluding with the owners of Guy and Omaya. There was a bit of drama and back and forth on that, but the vote ended happening, and it ended in a draw. So it was tied, and so it wasn't a full majority, and so it wasn't actually approved. And I think everyone was in a bit of suspense because nobody really knew what that meant, that it doesn't have an outright majority. But I understand it as they didn't actually have an approval, but they still kept on going with dancing. And I'm not sure if the staff is dancing in there, but it's still going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think part of the reality is like they have a liquor license to serve alcohol till 4 a.m. I don't know if the NYPD is checking whether they have a license for dancing or what have you. And so like for us, what we know to be true at this moment is that they are reapplying in June, and that we're gonna have a conversation with the board office about what other options are available to us before that time comes. So that's our next step. And again, appreciate you being here. So folks, it's 8:12, and what I'd love to do with this group is run quickly through some options for us on the application for cannabis licenses, which has now officially kind of opened up in Brooklyn. There was previously a lawsuit that was held up, that was holding up licenses. Manhattan had, it was done by county, right? And so Manhattan County had already been approved, and there was no court case. This happened, I believe, 2 days ago, that things opened up. And so the first licenses have begun to be handed out. We do have one application, at least one that I'm aware of, that is kind of waiting in the queue for this moment. We haven't been sent the application yet, but that's part of that is because we're not exactly ready to receive applications yet. And the reason that we're not ready to receive applications is because we don't have a formal questionnaire for folks to fill out as they apply. That's the piece that this committee needs to get figured out. I don't want to rush things, but I do also want us to be open and engaging in this process kind of as soon as we can. And so I put two things in everybody's inbox here that you should have received in the last half hour. One of them is the questionnaire that comes from Manhattan CB3. And the second thing is just a translation of that questionnaire into a Google document, which is done in kind of a Sheets version for us to also kind of, so I translated the questions there into an editable document rather than a PDF. And there's a few different ways that we could go about this. One is we could have a conversation open-ended about what kind of questions we would want to see included. And option number two is we take a look at CB3's in Manhattan's current questionnaire, and we determine whether we want to copy it, edit it, make some shifts. Does anybody have strong feelings about approaching this process from either perspective or from both? Or is there anything that I'm missing?
I kind of like the approach of, I mean, there is a uniform application that exists already, albeit from a different borough. So we're not bound by it by any means, but it's certainly a starting point if we want to, add questions or take some away. I'm not sure what the parameters are, of what sort of questions we would want to put on there or even allowed to ask. Just because we need to familiarize ourselves with this particular statute, I guess, and its regulations that stem from it, I guess. So I like the second option. And as we add and tinker with it, we can certainly move to option one eventually.
I'm cool with that. I would say there's less like regulations that we have to be aware of because the OCM is also having the applicants apply. So they're going to check all the boxes of everything that actually needs to be on an application. And then OCM will pass us the application and we will review it from our own community perspective about what kind of questions we want to ask about their presence in the community. Right. So similar to the way that currently SLA applicants are filling out an application through the State Liquor Authority, which is then being passed to us, we can add almost a secondary filter, if you will, to that, which is a Community Board 9 questionnaire for applicants.
I see. Gotcha. And that was distributed as part of their presentation a couple of weeks ago. One of those.
Oh, what their application looks like?
Yes.
I'm not sure that it was actually. I'm not sure that it was. We could ask our board office for the application that already is standing in the queue, and that will show us what OCM's application
looks like. Okay, that'd be good. Just to do that filter.
We should definitely do that. And then I think the other side is we can also pass our questionnaire by OCM and say, does this look good to you? Like, are we doing everything that we need to do? And that's the benefit of having a relationship with Pascal at OCM.
That sounds good too. Perfect. Thank you for clarifying, Primo.
Of course. I think what we need to do is just kind of think about, those like kind of community, like what questions we want to know at this point as a community board. So I think if there are no objections, like let's take a pass through Manhattan's questionnaire. And then we can see what feels like it's missing, what feels like it may be missing. I think our SLA applications tell us a lot about what we want to know about businesses that are moving into the neighborhood, right? And what kind of things we need to be out on the lookout for. And so I'll just run quickly through this application in case folks don't have a device in front of them where they can read the actual application. But first question is like name of the applicant. That's easy, right? Address, email, telephone number, type of license, asking for the partners, so business owners and kind of which percentage of partnership they own, which I think is a smart question to be asking. Historical relationship to social and economic inequity for each partner, which seems like a very safe way of asking if folks have interacted with the criminal justice system, perhaps. And then responsibilities of each partner of the business. Name and contact of the applicant's representative. So a lot of this stuff similar to an SLA application. Proposed location address, the zoning for that location, certificate of occupancy, and number of people allowed. So we're seeing a lot of what's already on the SLA application. Describe residences and businesses above and on both sides of the proposed location, which is an interesting question that I think Guyana Maya right now is showing us that perhaps should be on the SLA application too. Who are your neighbors? The landlord name, address, and phone number, relation. I don't know. I don't understand the reason for that question, but I guess it's good to have on file. Relationship of nonprofit and or partners to landlord, proposed hours of operation, sidewalk, vehicular traffic. I would probably, that feels like a very Manhattan question. I probably change that to outdoor space. Do you plan to use velvet ropes? I don't even know what that means, but I think it's a nod to kind of like whether they have security at the entrance to the building. Velvet ropes is strange. I don't know if y'all have seen that at dispensaries, but I don't even know what that means. Windows that open, that seems like it's more of a smoke issue question, but it makes sense to me to have. What measures will be taken to ensure that customers do not smoke outside in areas that would cause smoke to enter apartments or businesses above and nearby? Will you have any events, entertainment, parties, music, amplified sound of any type, classic? If so, number per month, hours, sidewalk, management, blah, blah, blah. Do you agree to have all doors and windows closed when there's amplified sound? Security inside, outside. And then this one is the Lower East Side workforce development question, which is, I think, an interesting way to get at, do we want to be hiring locally? I don't even know, Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce, like I don't even know who the equivalent would be for our neighborhood, sadly. So that's a lot of information. Anything feel like it's glaringly, yeah, Rashida, go for it. Thank you.
Oh, wait, let me take myself off mute, but I'm just trying to recall the SLA. Do they have to get signatures from neighbors, like for the SLA? I don't think they do, right? They don't.
For new applications, they do.
They do? Okay.
That's an interesting one, right? Because it's kind of like,
yeah, you have to get the signature. Yeah.
but like maybe the view on marijuana is so different than the view on alcohol. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. You tell me, but I feel like people would be more hesitant to sign one.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering if if they did have to get a certain amount of signatures about from the neighbors or in the building, especially if it's a residential and a business like SLA. I wonder if we could put that as definitely for like renewal. Well, I mean, I'm just thinking long term, like if that's not a requirement, maybe that should be some sort of requirement, especially if it's like like one of these buildings where it has, residential and businesses. I forgot what I was just about it. There was something else I just had, but it just went out of my head about something else. But somebody else, if you have questions, I'm gonna try to remember.
I feel like there's two questions that stand out to me. And for me, it's the historical relationship to social and economic inequity for each partner. I guess that is fine. I feel like I want a more direct question, but maybe it's strange to ask more direct questions. Like,
do we have another application to compare, like from another community? Is this the only, did we get one from two? Is this?
We did get another one. We did. And it's much, much longer.
Okay.
And I can see if I can find it in my inbox. Give me 2 minutes, but if anybody else has anything that they want to.
And then secondly, is there I know you said we have like an application in the background. Is there like a deadline where they have to come before us that we should be like, okay, we need to get this questionnaire finalized by the May meeting or in time for the May, because they're going to come before us in June?
I'm gonna start a document of question. I'm gonna start a section here on line 30 of questions that we have that I will send along to our board office and to OCM after. Okay, so is there a deadline by when we need to see applicants? Essentially?
Correct, yes. Like they have to, they have to get before the board 30 days before, their approval, so they have to get before us, like, size, yeah, something like that.
Okay, I'll say also, is there a formal application to OCM that can be shared with us? And then, Victor, I feel like you had a question that is not included in those two.
Well, I was gonna say I really do enjoy section C because as we've seen, not only tonight but in other of our meetings, when you have a mixed use situation, things can go left pretty quick. But I do think that it needs to be a little bit more parsed out. Like I like the format of the SLA applications where you have like a heading on what it is that, heading whatever 3-4 questions onto the next heading rather than it being all like kind of bunched up at once. I mean, clearly it follows a bit of a logical, from the top of the application to the bottom, it flows pretty well. But, if you're just reviewing this pretty quickly, it's good to have, I think, subsections. But then I was gonna ask, well, how would you like the question phrase, Primo, on the social inequity?
I feel like there's two things that I actually want to know. I think one thing I want to know is like the rate. I want to know like the demographics of the applicants, right? Like race, gender, age, like, and then another piece I want to know is like if they've been incarcerated for marijuana related. But I don't know if like we're actually allowed to ask those questions, but it feels like, isn't that kind of the whole idea, was to be giving licenses to disenfranchised people first?
Totally.
And so in order to like meet that moral compass or that kind of like moral mandate, like how can we do that without formally asking?
I mean, you can even put all that aside. It's in the statute, right? It's, what is it, 20-30% of licensees?
Mm-hmm. And we don't really want, like, me personally, I don't want like carpetbaggers coming to Crown Heights to like set up shop from like Connecticut or whatever, and like
totally right. Incarcerated or convicted, I would add.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So I feel like we have a few questions that we want to ask, but it also feels like we're relatively comfortable with the questionnaire as it exists with maybe a few tweaks, right? I think part of what I'd like to be able to do is to bring a draft to the larger community board to be voted on like for approval. Rashida, do you feel like that's a step that we would need to take?
I think we should, but I do think I just want to kind of compare the other, because I know you said they had, like, community board had a longer application, to see what questions and how they correlated with these, to see maybe we can include some of them and maybe flesh out both, maybe do a combination, because I like this question, but I'm just getting immediate, maybe too short. Or maybe like, I just want to compare of what I'm like, I want to compare a little bit the community, but I do think that what we can do once we have that and we kind of come together, like, this is what we vote as a committee for that, and then we bring it to the board. I don't know if the wider board has to approve the application, because I think we do it, but at least we can say we discussed it, we looked at others, this is what we're going to be putting out for as a public safety part of the application.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it in my inbox and I just can't, but,
I'm sure Khalid or one of them may have, maybe from another, or we can Zoom.
oh, I got it.
contact them and ask
Found
them.
it. I found it. I'm a genius. Okay. It's in your inboxes too. It's from Community Board 2. They have a whole licensing committee. Do you want me, is it easier? I'm just gonna forward this to everybody who's here right now.
Yeah,
Okay. Sheila.
and that's why I was trying to get a deadline, like, was there a deadline? Because I don't think we're ready right now to kind of say, this is the application we want to put before the board, because looking at it on my on my phone, I kind of want to print it and compare, and then maybe in your, I'm a printer. I have a printer here, but I'm just, right now, I'm not clear to sparse out the questions to be like, okay, let's present this to the board. Yeah.
It's 22 pages long. So
Okay.
Wow.
So yeah, I would want to see what 22 pages compared to 2-page and see what questions were maybe, hey, we can not have it 22 pages, but maybe a 5-pager, because these questions really should be in there. And these definitely, they could have gone
it's
without.
funny because this is Manhattan CB2 and Manhattan CB3, and just
Yeah.
looking at the gap between those two community boards is pretty
Yeah.
great. Okay, but like I'll walk you through some of the quick questions here, but it's like name, but then they're like DBA. Okay, maybe we should have DBA. Location, member, the application number, name of representative. They may also just be using a funky format, which is why it's so long. And then they have a section on property and premises. So the first section is just collecting basic information. Then property and premises. So is it inside a mixed use building? Is it in a commercial building? It seems like instead of asking what type of building you're in, they ask 3 different questions to figure out what kind of building you're in. So like, I think we can do a better job with that. Is it within 500 feet of school grounds? I feel like that's a good one, right?
Yeah.
Or a community center.
Yeah, so that's what's gonna be, and are some of these same questions in the application to OCM? So we want to see what, we're not repeating the same questions that they've already put in the OCM, because OCM has given us their application, plus we have our questions. We don't want it to be duplicative.
Yep.
We do. I think we don't want it to be, but maybe we do, and see if they trip up or something. I don't know.
Okay, if you will, will y'all stick with me for 15 more minutes?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Okay. Yeah.
She's just like, nah, but
Look, my food, I'm trying, my kitchen is a ways ago, and I haven't been able to run and get something to eat.
no, I feel you. I literally got
me.
I got a plate delivered in the middle of this, this meeting. So if I hadn't had that plate, I'd probably be complaining too. Okay, I just want to run. Let me just go quickly through these questions. Okay, house of worship, 1,000-foot radius of other premises license. Making changes to the facade, number of floors in the building, but it's not a type of community outreach regarding the applicant's license. I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the applicant. So again, like stuff about, right, what population do you serve? How long have you operated in NYC? It's interesting. It says, yeah. What services do you provide? How will cannabis sales further this mission? How will your business be a benefit to the surrounding community is a good one. Proposed hours of operation, that would be, it must be in the other one. Hours of operation. Okay, let's see what else there is here. Measures will be in place to monitor sales to minors. I mean, they're gonna check IDs, right? Like, okay, security plan, security hours of operations. Again, with the stanchions and the ropes. Environment, windows. storage of cannabis plant, disposal, methods of disposal. It feels a little extra to me, but. Okay, and then. The rest here.
But I mean, it does sound a little extra, but now I'm thinking about long-term. As a person that has a dog, I've had issues with, well, in some of the groups where they've said that people throw their buds and then the dog thinks it's grass and they've eaten it, they become sick and end up at the vet. So that's been happening a lot lately. I don't know if you've heard about this, Primo, but in a lot of the vet groups, it's been happening, unfortunately, several things. So just, are they gonna have like separate,
Methods of disposal, let's get it.
What kind of measures, because also for the community, you don't want to come out of your, if it's a store and an apartment building and you come out and there's like, cigarette stubs or weed stubs on the side.
That's real. All right, we got about 30 questions here. We made it through their entire application, but also Rashida, print your prints and then go back into this Google Doc and add questions that you want to add. I would love for us to get some, like, the community board meetings like in a few weeks. I'd love if we could figure this out digitally via email so that we can come with maybe something that we can put in front of the larger community board in a few weeks. Let's see what we can do. If we can't, I get it, and we'll deal with it in May. But let's make sure that like we get a product out in May.
Yeah.
Does that feel fine? And I'll ask the questions around if we have a deadline, and then the application to be shared with us, and we'll get there. Yeah. All right.
That being,
I think this is good because we have the work in Excel. We can put whatever, and then for the May we have like, okay, this is based on what you guys put in here. This is what the application kind of looks at, and then we can dive a little bit more into it.
Yeah.
The application, sorry, Primo, being from the Office of Cannabis Management.
I ask for the application from the Office of Cannabis Management, if there is one, which I imagine there must be. Yeah.
Cool. Just wanted to clarify.
All right. It's late. We had a good meeting. We had a good conversation. I have 2 follow-up items. Well, I think Kyrie is going to take one of those follow-up items and get a chain going about Guyana and kind of like what process we can take with the potential.
Yes, I actually just sent it out too. So,
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kyrie. And then the other piece is I'll follow up with OCM and with our board office on these 2 larger questions we have around the application process. Anything else?
Collabing on Excel.
Collabing on Excel. Look at us, 2023.
I was about to say, exactly. We'll be doing that part.
Seeing no other items that we need to address, I would move to adjourn us for the evening.
Second that motion. I love you guys, but I'm hungry.
Great. Everybody have a good night. Felice, give me a call later if you want to talk.
Yes, indeed, I will.
Bye, everybody.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Have
Thank
a
you.
good night.
Good night.